It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey folks, today we are taking a look at a simple tile laying game called Gaia. Gaia here, as you can see, is a very gorgeous, very attractive game in which you are, together with the other players, building a world, populating that world with cities, with fish, with animals, and trying to, put your little meeples out there, and if you do so the best, you win the game. Let me give you a brief overview of how the game works, and then I'll tell you if I think the gameplay lives up to this gorgeous look. Here we go. The objective of the game is really quite simple. You are trying to put all of your little meeples here out, and if you are the first one to get rid of them all, you win the game. You are going to be doing that by building up the land, by populating cities, and by completing objectives on these little cards and putting the characters out there. So I'm going to be showing you a quick overview here for two players, blue player over here, yellow player over here. To set up, we are going to reveal 4 of these goals. I've already removed the other ones, and we'll just put these face up over here. I'll tell you what they mean in a second. And then we are going to give each player 2 of these land cards, and we'll reveal 3 more face up. Let's move this over here, and I'll just stagger them for now. Oh, that's 3 of the same. Let's mix it up. There we go. And then each player gets 1 of these life cards, and we reveal 2 of them. And then we each get 1 of these action cards, and we reveal 2 of them. And then you're ready to begin. And so each player on their turn takes 2 actions, and your actions are quite simple. You can draw or you can play a card, and you can do the same one twice if you want to. So, simplest thing first, the land types here. On my turn, I can play a card. I will take a tile of that type, and I will play it onto the board. The first one played, of course, starts the world here, and then from that moment on, you are going to add it adjacently to the ones that are already there, orthogonally so. Once you play one of these cards, you keep it in front of you until you are possibly, well, you're basically keeping them because you are possibly going to be able to complete one of the goals down here with it, okay? So that could be my first action, and my second action can be playing this one. Again, I keep it in front of me, and I could take another type of land and add it on there, and boom, that's my whole turn. 2 actions. This is a land that we are building together, by the way, so it's not my own, and my opponent has their own. We're building a single one together. And so it would now be the blue player's turn, and on their turn, they could do, let's say they are going to play this card, and again, they keep that in front of them, and they would play this out here like so. And they would take a card, let's say. And then this is replenished. As soon as you take a card, we replenish that card. That is 2 turns. Back to me. And so on, back and forth. What you are trying to do, and the way you get rid of the characters, is if you are able to make a combination of cards in front of you because you've played them out, that equals one of these. And so, for example, 2 mountains and 2 plains there, or savannas, I guess, whatever you want to call them. Once you get 2 and 2 of these, then you immediately qualify for this card. It's not an action or anything. You just take it, you put it aside somewhere, you put one of your characters on it, and you remove those cards that gave you this from in front of you, okay? So that's one way to do it. This one, by the way, which is 4 red cards, simply means 4 action cards. Once you've played any 4 action cards, and I'll show you what those do in 1 second, all right? The other way to get rid of the population there, your little meeples, is to play these out. These are little cities, and they have a few pieces of information on them. They tell you where they must be built, and then they tell you what the city wants surrounding it. And so in this case, water, forests, and food. Okay, so let's say we have now gone back and forth a few more times. We have placed this here. We have placed a forest here. And it is my opponent's turn. On their turn, they play this card. They play that card there. They have water. They have forest. They are satisfying 2 of the 4 things the city wants. And so they put out 1 token on that city. Okay? Let's say that was the entire turn for them. They are done. It comes back to me. On my turn, let's say I play another card, a water card, which are in here. Let's see if I can find one here and show you. There we go. Let's say I play this, put that in front of me as always, and then I am going to take the water tile and I am going to play it here. Now, by doing so, I have satisfied that city by 1 more. And so now it's water, water, forest. And so I would take their pawn off of the city and put my own there instead. And also be aware, if you ever give it any city all 4 things it wants, then you in fact put 2 pawns on there. Okay? Let me explain how food works. Let's say we've done all this, and let me look for a convenient food card here. Alright, let's say we've got this one. And let's say that this tile is in fact this tile, just for convenience sake. Alright, I can, and this is, I have a single pawn on here. On my turn, I can play this card, and this lets me know that I am adding 4 food to that land type. I would take the tokens from the pool over here, and I would put them on the land type, and now they have all 4 requirements. This is when I would add a second pawn. I would discard this card, and at the beginning of every turn that it is my turn, I have to feed every city I'm able to. And so I would take one of these tokens off, and I would do my 2 actions. So the food is interesting because it allows you to add a requirement to a city, even though it could have all 4 land types already, but it neutralizes itself over several turns. And so the food eventually will go away. And once I eat the last one, then I have to remove one of these 2 tokens because I'm no longer satisfying all 4 requirements. And so that's basically it. There's also, some of these cities also can go on any land type. They always tell you down here the requirements. And if you sometimes can play it on a land type that covers up a requirement somebody else had, so like if I do this, the forest there no longer counts for this city either. And so sometimes you can in fact drop down the requirements here down to only a single one. And if you do so, then no pawn may live in that city. And if you are ever able to drop it down to none of the requirements are met, the city itself will go away. All right? So that's basically what you are doing. You are jockeying for position. You are trying to put your characters out there. And the last thing that I want to go over here is the action cards themselves, which are the red ones, the ones that would get you that goal. There's a few different ones, and in fact, there's some that I've removed from the game explanation right now because they make the game a little bit more confrontational. And those are lightning and eruption. I'm not going to go over those. I'm instead going to go over the ones that are in here. And so we have a couple of them that are pretty straightforward. This here is the earthquake, and it quite simply allows you, when you play this card, to switch 2 land types that are neighboring. So you can do something like this. You have over here the tornado, lets you steal a card from your opponent's hand. They display their hand, you take a card. By the way, every player has a hand limit of 7 cards, and you can only have at most 2 of these action cards. You have over here the shield, allows you to play this out of turn to stop your opponent playing one of these action cards against you, or really any of them. And then you have 2 more here, which are the sun and the water. And quite simply, these are sort of the inverse of each other. If you play the sun, you pick a land type, and it'll dry up, but it only works on these 3 here. And so, if you let me grab one of each here and show you. If I play the sun on this land type anywhere out here, then I substitute it for this one. And if you ever play the sun on this one, then you substitute it for the desert, and vice versa. If you play the rain on this, you substitute it for that, and if you play rain on that, you substitute it for this one. Okay, so it's basically what all those do. And again, if you're the first one to play 4 action cards, you take this, you put your little pawn on it, and that's 1 less you have to deal with. You continue doing this, jockeying for position, like I said, until you get rid of all of your meeples. And once they're all out there, you immediately win the game. So let's answer that question that I closed the intro with first. Does the gameplay match up to the look of the game? And now, you might not like this look, but you can decide that for yourself. I think it's really pretty. But does the gameplay match? The gameplay's alright. The game is fun, it's light, it's pretty speedy, and moves at a nice clip. It's definitely better with 2, I would say, because more than that is just too chaotic. And what I showed you, by the way, it would be the advanced version of the rules, with a couple of things removed, like the extra mean cards. You know, there's a couple of those action cards, like the volcano I talked about. I removed those because I think they're just too in your face. But the introductory base version of the game is too, bland. There's not enough going on. The way that works, the main difference really is no action cards, and if I satisfy a city with more than you did, I don't remove your pawn and add myself, I simply add myself, and so we both will be on there. It's just too tit for tat. It's not interesting, And so the upgraded rules, the advanced rules, quote unquote, are much more interesting, but still the game is not something I would say, ooh, run out there and get a copy of this, folks, because it's wow, it's that good. It's okay. If you are enchanted by the look of it, if you adore tile laying, if you like games that are mostly tactical and even the tactics are not that overwhelming, there's a lot of luck of the draw and things like that, then I would say, yeah, sure, check it out. It's one I think ultimately I will not be hanging on to for too long. This is a game I'll probably hang on to for a while. I'll get a few more plays out of it, but I can feel at some point I'll go, okay, I'm done. I've had enough of that game. I can now pass that along. It's giving me that vibe, and so I would say, if this is singing to you, go ahead and check it out. There's certainly nothing wrong with it. It doesn't feel broken, doesn't feel stunted. It works, and it's cute. But it's also fairly truncated when it comes to tactics, Just not too much there. So there you have it. That is my overview and my opinion of Gaia.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.